All right, welcome to Days of Rock and Roll. I'm your host Chris, and today I have a very special guest with me. It's Peter Kerr from RockDaydreamNation. It's nice to have you here, Peter.
Nice to be invited, Chris, and hello, Sweden and the world. And yeah, it's good to talk about David Coverdale, one of my favorite vocalists of all time.
Yeah, it's always awesome to talk about David Coverdale. Me and Tim Derling have done many episodes on Whitesnake, so this will be a good finale in a way to just do 10 awesome deep cuts of his whole career. So this will be really awesome. Now I may in the future revisit some other stuff that David did and maybe even cover
Yeah,
some of his solo albums. That would be cool to do someday. So yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. All right, so let's start with your number 10, or it's not ranked, so it's no order, but let's start
Yeah,
with your number 10 pick.
no ranking whatsoever.
Yeah, yeah.
The first one I'm going to pick is off the North Winds album from 1978, and it's Only My Soul. Um, this is a song that many rock fans may not have heard. These albums didn't sell great numbers in the day. These were the albums that he recorded when he left Deep Purple, Whitesnake in 77, and North Winds in 1978. And in my opinion, it's some of his greatest work and some of his most pure bluesy vocals. It's an emotional vocal. He begins with this whisper and he builds it into an unforgettable climax. What I like about this song, it's very introspective, it's very deep, it's very thoughtful, and his voice actually carries some vulnerability. So, Only My Soul of North Winds is my first pick from 1978.
Awesome. You know what, Peter? I also picked Only My Soul, so I'm gonna talk about this right now also. Yeah, so his solo albums are actually very new to me because those weren't available for streaming, at least not on Tidal, which I use. I don't know about Spotify, but they available to stream for the longest time. So when he released the Into the Light box set with the three solo albums, that was my introduction to the albums. So I bought the box set. I didn't listen to the albums previously. I got the box set, listened to them for the first time on CD, and it was a great experience. But I don't have too many years with these albums. I haven't lived for these with these albums for a long time, like I have with the Whitesnake stuff and even the Deep Purple. So his solo albums were kind of tricky because I really wanted to choose at least one track from his solo albums. So yeah, I also picked Only My Soul. I just think this is a stellar vocal performance from David Coverdale. I just think the acoustic guitar in the beginning and also with the keyboards really building the atmosphere. And then it kicks in and he starts singing the first verse. And yeah, I think it's just really beautiful. And also, like that middle part, which they removed in the remix, which I don't like. But in the original, you have that middle part with the bass and also these synthesizers or organs. Yeah, I really like that too. It's a nice break to have in the middle of the song. So I think that's very unique. He didn't do that much after. So I think that's really cool. So really like the song, like the climax of the song at the end. Yeah, it's just a really nice vocal from David and overall a really nice song. So yeah, very
Yeah,
good.
agree with everything you've said.
Yeah. All right, the next one, Peter.
You Keep On Moving from Come Taste the Band, 1975. I think this is one of David Coverdale's greatest vocal performances. I actually think this is one of the most emotionally affecting songs in the whole Deep Purple catalogue. I'd put that up there. When you talk about raw emotion and really hitting you in the gut, maybe Mistreated, Wasted Sunsets, but You Keep On Moving. To me, this song is like a swan song. It's like closing a chapter. It's actually the last track of Come Taste the Band. And I think it's a magnificent album. It's an album that gets better with age. And to me, it closes a piece of history. It closes a very tumultuous part of the Deep Purple story. but the emotion in this song, it just really gets you in the, between the in the gut. And David's work with Glenn Hughes is just masterly. They trade vocals effectively. Tommy Boland's guitar work creates a haunting atmosphere. It's one of their most mature compositions, and it just gets better with age. It's definitely. I'd actually put this in the top 10 of all time great Deep Purple compositions. I love it. You Keep on Moving.
Yeah, it's really great. And it is definitely one of the highlights on that album. And I've never really understood the hate for that album. I just think that's an awesome album. I love Tommy Boland's guitar work on that. And yes, some people are like, no Richie, no Deep Purple. I don't
Yeah,
agree
I
with
think it's
that.
got better though. I think people are coming around, and
Yep,
I think it's very apt that there's a glass of Shiraz or rosé or whatever in the front cover, because it ages like a great red wine. This album,
yeah,
I think people are coming around, and when you look at a lot of people's top 10 list in the discography with Deep Purple, this album is definitely rising to the top. I think a lot of people are much more warm to it than that they did in the day. And I think they were quite adverse to it simply because there was no Blackmore, as you said.
yeah, exactly. So, spoiler alert, I didn't choose anything off that album, but it doesn't mean that that's not a good album. I love it. I think there's some really killer songs on that. The opening is great, Lady Luck and Getting Tighter. I just love a lot of it. So really good.
Yeah.
So, yeah. My next one is Medicine Man from Love Hunter. I love this song. I love the opening riff in that. It's just so good. Overall, it's a really fun song, and has a nice tempo to it, and it flows really well. I love the guitar solo in this too. It's really, really good. I've always liked the early Whitesnake. I think the duo of Bernie Marsden and Mickey Moody has always been really, really good. And I actually prefer the earlier Whitesnake to the later, and even like the '87 album and all that. So, yeah, even though Slide It In is my absolute favorite, I think some of the earlier stuff is just so good. So overall, the early Whitesnake is my favorite era. And yeah, Love Hunter is an awesome album, and Medicine Man has always been one of my favorite deep cuts of the album. But like a song like Walking in the Shadow of the Blues has always been one of the highlights. But I didn't really count that as a really deep cut because that has been played live a bunch of times, and a lot of people know that song, and that's probably the most famous one of the album. So yeah, that's why I didn't pick that song. And yes, so I just love this one so much. It's so good. So his vocal delivery, everything about it, and yeah, it's a really nice song.
Fantastic. Well, that's my favorite era of Whitesnake. I think that's the quintessential lineup. The Marsden, Moody, Neil Murray, Pace, Lord, Coverdale. That's where it's at for me when it comes to Whitesnake. I mean, I'm a Whitesnake tragic. I like all the lineups mostly, but that's the one for me.
Yeah, and that's also very true for many European fans also, because a lot of people in the US are really huge fans of Slide It In and '87, even Slip of the Tongue. That's like
It's
the
because all they know. That's all they know, because
yeah,
those albums are the ones that sold. They went platinum. It's the arena rock albums. The other albums didn't sell or didn't get the exposure.
yeah,
So it's probably a lack of awareness.
yeah. And that's also something you see in the set lists also when they play in the US. It's basically a
Mm.
greatest hits set list. I just wish that they play more of the deep cuts and some of the older stuff in Europe too. Now they've done songs here and there from the early period. Take Me With You, for example, was one of them. Don't Break My Heart Again, they did when they reformed in the 2000s. So there are some songs that came back, and Ain't No Love in the Heart of the City has always been a live staple. But I just wish that they revisited some of these older songs and did them live. But now Whitesnake is done and David has retired, so we won't see that. But I've heard that Whitesnake may carry on without him, and
I
Dino
hope
De
not.
Lucy might be the
No.
singer. I'm
Yeah.
not too sure
I,
about
I,
that.
no.
I don't think
Yeah.
that's a good idea.
No.
So,
No. It isn't. It isn't. Yeah.
Dino
I think.
Jelusic is an awesome singer, but he's not a
Yes, he
David
is.
Coverdale. So
Yeah.
I think he should start his own band. Maybe he has a own band. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of Dino
Mm.
Jelusic. But I think he should start his own thing and not carry on with the Whitesnake thing.
Yeah. No. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think
No.
that'll go down too well.
Yeah. All right. What's your next one?
I think I'm gonna pick "Lonely Days, Lonely Nights" off the "Come and Get It" album. In my opinion, "Come and Get It's" their finest album. That came out in 1981. Almost went to the #1 spot in the UK. Got pipped at the post by Adam and the Ants. Do you remember them? But I think this album is just a masterpiece. It is probably one of the finest British hard rock blues albums of that era. Coverdale sings with a lot of conviction. Again, the emotion through the gut. I love the lyrics. I've been waiting my whole life for something to turn out right, and you actually believe it. Everything about the song. I love the arrangements. I love Pacey's drumming. I love Lord and his little Hammond keyboard stabs, but it's Coverdale. And I've always said, I think in 1980 to 81, that's where I think his vocals were at its finest. And they, I don't think he's ever been as good as that. I'm talking about that rich, bluesy tone in his voice, where he wasn't singing like, like Tarzan or going into that Robert Plant. It was sort of in the ballpark of Paul Rodgers, but much better, because I think he's a better singer than Paul Rodgers. But singing's not a competition. To me, I just think the rich bluesy tone, Ready and Willing and Come and Get It is the sweet spot. And Lonely Days and Lonely Nights, I love it. It gives a shiver up my spine. I love that song.
Yeah, I also picked that one. So we already have two overlaps. So that's interesting. But yeah, I also picked Lonely Days, Lonely Nights. And yeah, that's also one of my favorites of that album. I just love it. And I like the opening riff in it too. It's a very bluesy song, and that fits David's vocal style too at the time. Yeah, I think the guitar solo in this is one of the highlights of the album. I just love it so much. It's really, really good. Very emotional, very melodic solo. So I really like that. The lyrics you mentioned, also very good, deep lyrics. And yeah, I just like this song very much. Now I have one of the songs on this album is my favorite David Coverdale song of all time. And it's not this one. It's the one that came before. Don't Break My Heart Again. That's not one of my picks because that was a single and that's pretty successful. But if I were to do like a top 10 or top 5 songs, Don't Break My Heart Again is one of those. But my pick is Lonely Days, Lonely Nights.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think my favorite song on that album is Till the Day I Die. I love that song. And that may have been just pipped at the post. I guess I was focusing on vocal performance, but as a song, Till the Day I Die. Look, there's so many great songs on that album.
Yeah.
I could easily
think of how many
reach
people
that in a top 10.
missed out on this early era. It's crazy.
Many
people only know like the big hits, and that's just criminal.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right. My next one, I think I'll pick another one from that era off the Ready and Willing, and I'm going to pick Love Man. This is a real slow burning blues number, and it features John Lord's hammered organ and Mickey Moody's understated guitar. I really dig this one. Rather than belting out the vocals, Coverdale sings with a lot of swagger and restraint. This is pure British blues rock, and this captures the the Coverdale sound before MTV, before he had the sinus operation, before 1987, when the tone of his voice changed forever.
Yeah.
So I don't think a lot of people they look at a lot of the other songs on this album, but Love Man kind of tends to get ignored. So I'm going to put it out there in my 10 for songs that people should, explore. Love Man off Ready and Willing.
Yeah, yeah, for an album that was one of their earlier successes, it's crazy that you have a song like Love Man, which is really a deep track. So yeah, I don't think a lot of people really know about that one or remember it. So yeah, that's good to have that highlighted. Yeah, it's a really good one. All right, so my next one is Wherever You May Go from Into the Light. I've always liked this song. It's an acoustic ballad, and I think this is one of the more sensitive and very beautiful vocal performances by very gentle by David. And I also really like the female vocals in the background too. Really, really beautiful. I don't know who sings that, but it's very well done. It's really one of the highlights on that album. It's not an album that I revisit very often, and I think it has like 3 or 4 really good songs, and some of the rest is a bit mediocre for me. But this has always stuck out for me. So, and I don't think this is a song that many people know about. So yeah, I really like this. Wherever You May Go is awesome.
Fantastic. All right. My next pick is I think I'm going to pick Days of Thunder off the Days of Thunder soundtrack.
Oh,
So here's another little obscure one. So remember the Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman movie, the Jerry Bruckheimer? It was a car racing film. So it was sort of like, you had Tom Cruise doing Top Gun, which did everything about the, pilots and the Air Force. Well, he did. It was sort of like Top Gun on land, doing cars, and David Coverdale's song was played in the end credits, and it's a very rousing song. The song was produced by Trevor Horn. Now, Trevor Horn was the producer extraordinaire of the 80s. When you think of all those pop artists in the 80s, I'm talking about Frankie Goes to Hollywood, I'm thinking about ABC, Propaganda. He was in the Buggles. He played in Yes. Really lush orchestration. That's the Trevor Horn song. And this particular song has all that sort of lush production. And David is just absolutely ripping it. I think it came out in 1990, so this is around the era of slip of the tongue. I can be a little bit critical of David's vocals in that era because he was really belting out his voice and there was a little bit of wear and tear, but he pulls in a mighty fine performance. It's a big performance. It's broad. I like this song. It's got a lot of drama, but Days of Thunder, you can. I think it was released as a single in some territories, but it's on the album, and it's definitely worth exploring. And it's one song that people tend to forget off the Days of Thunder soundtrack.
that's a good one.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry. It's called The Last Note of Freedom. I keep on
yeah,
saying Days of Thunder. Last Note of Freedom
yeah,
is the song off the Days of Thunder soundtrack.
yeah. Great, awesome. So my next one is really, really deep, for a really deep track, and it's always the same, which was a new song at the time when they released the Rock album. So this was recorded during the Flesh and Blood sessions, but wasn't on the album and didn't even make the bonus tracks. So this was first released in 2020 on the Rock album, and it's only available there. And yeah, I've always liked this song. It's really, really good. I like the acoustic in the beginning, and it sounds really different. It doesn't really sound like a regular acoustic guitar. I'm not sure. Maybe it's some type of electric. I'm not too sure, but it sounds like an acoustic. And yeah, it's really, really good. This song. Yeah, the solo in this. I think it's Joel Hoekstra who plays the solo, and it's awesome. It's really melodic, very nice. this is pretty much a regular type of Whitesnake ballady type song, but it's really really good, and I think it's very underrated and overlooked because many people probably don't know it even exists. So yeah, always the same. And also, I think this is the best song. If this was on the Flesh and Blood album, this would have been my favorite because I always felt it was strange that they left this song out because it's so good on the Flesh and Blood album. So I always felt that was strange. But yeah, always the same is really good one.
Great. I think I'm going to put a spotlight on Starkers in Tokyo. Remember the
Yeah,
unplugged album that he recorded in
Adrian.
Tokyo with Adrian Vandenberg?
Yeah.
Sailing Ships.
Oh, yes.
I love that it's all raw and it's just focusing on the vocals.
Yeah.
And David's sort of naked. It's vulnerable. And he's really, it allows the song to shine, and it doesn't have that flashy overproduction that Slip of the Tongue was marred by. So you got Vandenberg playing the acoustic and David singing, and it's just got that wonderful tone. And it's one of his most heartfelt lyrics, and it's a vocal performance of full maturity rather than kind of doing the Tarzan and the sheer power. It's letting the song shine. So I think Starkers in Tokyo, people forget about this. This was one where it just, hey, let's get away from the gloss and the drama and the bombastic side of Whitesnake. Let's just focus on my voice. And it's really worth checking out, but people tend to forget it. Sailing Ships off Starkers in Tokyo.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I always love that version of that song. And yeah, it never reaches the climax, of course, because that wouldn't have made sense in that setting. But yeah, I like that you only get the verses and all that. So you don't reach this super high climax intense that was at the end of the studio track. So yeah, I think it really does work as an acoustic song. And some of the other songs on that album, like some of the Restless Heart songs, I think work very well in that setting. Just very nice album. I've always loved that Starkers in Tokyo. So yeah, it's a good one. Nice pick, Peter. Awesome. All right, my next one is The Gypsy from Stormbringer. To some people, this may not be a deep cut, but for me it is. And I've always liked this. It's a great, great song. The guitar riff is iconic at this point. I just think it's really, really nice. The guitar solo, I love how gentle and very understated, or whatever you say. It's not exaggerated. It's not a loud solo. It's not overplayed. It's very gentle and very nice, and it reminds me of the solo in Temple of the King on Richie Blackmore's Rainbow. So, and that came a year after, obviously, but yeah, kind of reminds me of that. So I really like this song, and this is definitely the highlight for me on that album. So The Gypsy, and I have to say, I know you don't like the Purple album, but I love the version that they did on there. Because at the end they add the vocal parts, "Tell me Gypsy" at the end. I love that. I think that's really good. But the original doesn't have that, and that's okay. But yeah. So The Gypsy, really good one.
Yeah, look, I love the Gypsy, and Stormbringer, very underrated album. Love it. I
Yeah.
think it doesn't get the accolades that it kind of deserves. So
Yeah, absolutely. What's your next one?
I'm going to pick "Don't Turn Away" off the 1987 album. I think it's often overlooked because it's the closing track on the album, depending on what region you are,
Yeah.
because there were different, sort of slightly different track listings. John Sykes' guitar work creates a very epic backdrop where Coverdale delivers one of his strongest late 80s vocals. It's got a real... It feels like an album closer. It's got a sort of pseudo power ballady feel about it. There's a lot of drama. it's every bit as powerful as some of the more well-known singles or tracks on off the album. So yeah, Don't Turn Away. I've always thought that was kind of overlooked, but needed more recognition on that album.
And the last minute of that song, really, it builds up and really intensifies, and I love that part. I
Mm,
think that's the highlight of the song. So I
yeah.
love that it just changes out of nowhere. So I think that's cool, and I always wanted it to keep on going. So just turn the faders up. I don't want it to fade out. It's really
Yeah, well, I can see you've got some box sets behind, and I've got all of those ones. And I bought the '87 box set, and I was hoping that there might be some fade outs or extended jams on that song, but wasn't to be.
yeah, yeah. And that's the only box I'm missing. So I have all of them except the 87 because it's out of.
Oh, okay. I thought my eyes aren't that clear. I thought I
Yeah.
might have seen it. So,
Yeah, you
okay.
have to look on eBay and Discogs to really get it, and it's super expensive at this point. So
Yeah,
yeah,
understand.
yeah. All right, the next one is "Tell Me How" from Forevermore. This is one of the highlights on the album. Now I have a absolute favorite on the album, which is the title track. I just think that's one of the highlights of his career. That title track, "Forevermore." But for my pick, it's "Tell Me How." I really like this riff. I love that riff. I love Doug Aldrich in the band. I think those two albums that he did with David are just amazing. Good to Be Bad and Forevermore are really good albums. Now, some of the songs are not as good as others, but overall, I think the two albums are very strong. And this is one of the stronger tracks on Forevermore. And yeah, this guitar solo is one of the highlights of the later period of Whitesnake for me. I think this solo is really, really good. And when you have that climax and David sings "Baby, baby," and then it goes back into the verse and all that, I think it's just so good. So awesome song and very overlooked. So yeah,
Yeah, I agree. I'm a big fan of Good to Be Bad. I think that's a great album, and
yeah,
the remastered version was even better.
yep, yep.
I actually like the first version, but whatever he did, to enhance it and sonically oomph it, he did a fantastic job. So I'm a
Yeah, they did
real,
some magic on those remixes. I have to say,
yeah,
the best remix they
amazing.
the best remix they did for me is Restless Heart. I
Yeah,
think that just really changed the entire sonics of that album because that was a
yeah.
very mellow album and they really made it into a real Whitesnake album. So
Yeah,
that
they made
yeah,
it a bit more spiky, and yeah,
yeah,
I found that the production of the first time around was a bit flat, a
yeah,
bit
and a bit
mellow,
muddy too.
a bit polite, but
Yeah,
they definitely added a bit of oomph. But
yeah,
no, getting back to Good to Be Bad, I think the lineup, um, that lineup was really good. Uriah Duffy on bass, the drummer, the name escapes me. He was
Bruce
really good.
Frazier, I think.
Yeah, yeah, a lot
Yeah,
of swing and groove, and Reb Beach and Doug Aldrich. I think, yeah, that lineup. It only lasted one album, but there was lightning in the bottle. They were really good on that album.
yeah,
Yeah.
great.
All right, I'm going to do another one that's a little bit off the wall. Bernie Marsden did a lot of great solo albums, and even to his passing, he was putting out output. And he did a remake of Trouble
Yep.
from the 1978 album, and he got David Coverdale to come back and do a version of Trouble. It was slowed down, it was more bluesy, and David's voice on this particular track has got almost a Rod Stewart rasp because David's voice had changed,
Yeah.
and but the way he uses his voice, it turned into something kind of bluesy and very haunting. And yeah, I really like the version of Trouble. And in fact, I might even dare say it's a better version to my ears than the original in 1978. So yeah, check it out. Bernie Marsden, Trouble. and with special guest star David Coverdale. Have you heard this version?
Yeah, I have. Once actually, but I barely remember it. But yeah, the original for me is untouchable. I just love the original song.
Mm.
So, and that's also one of the highlights on that album for me. So, yeah. So I couldn't see it replacing the original or being better. But if you really like it, I have to check it out again to see, because
Yeah,
it was
I
a
think
long.
I'm highlighting that it's a later period vocal, but he's using what he's got left
Yeah,
effectively, and it's kind of got a kind of a rasp, but it works to the betterment of the song. It gives it a whole different color, a whole different texture.
that's
Almost, as I
something he
said, a
did
bit of
really
a bit of
well
a
on the.
Rod Stewart, maybe a bit of a Rod Stewart feel about it. If you know, I'm just
Yeah.
painting a picture for the folks at home.
And that's something he did really well in the later, like Whitesnake albums too. On some of their
Mm,
bluesier ballads and some of the calmer songs,
mm,
he did a really good job on those too. So yeah, it's kind of the same
yeah.
approach, but yeah, cool, awesome. All right, my next one is "Crying" from Restless Heart. This was one of the more rocking songs on that album, and I think even the original mix of this kind of rocks pretty hard. But the remix, it just has so much punch to it. And yeah, I love that opening riff too. Really, really aggressive riff. And David's voice, "I smell trouble." I just think it's so good. And also the pre-chorus, "Tears of rage, tears of pain, burning my eyes." That I just love that part. This song also has a part similar to "Still of the Night." The midsection of "Still of the Night," where you have the guitar that kind of sounds like a violin or some string instrument. This song has the same type of sound and section. So he kind of copied himself a bit there, but I think it really works for the song. And then you go into a really nice guitar solo by Adrian Vandenberg, but then you go back into that section again briefly, and then it kicks in with the chorus. So yeah, I think it's really good. One of the highlights on that album, really, really solid one. I think "Restless Heart" and maybe even "Don't Fade Away" are some of the more famous songs, especially "Don't Fade Away," because that was a shocker for some people hearing that as the first track on the album. And they were like,
Yeah,
no, no,
yeah. It was,
not for me. So it's probably more infamous for that reason. But I
yeah.
think this "Crying" is a great, great deep track. Some of the other songs on that album, me and Tim did a video, so we went on and on about some of the songs, but "Take Me Back Again," "Woman Trouble Blues," there's some really, really good songs on that
Oh, I
album.
love Woman Trouble Blues.
Yeah,
That's a fantastic song on that album. Very
awesome.
good. I think we're almost at 10, are we? How I've lost count.
I think I have two more.
Oh, okay. Two more. I'm gonna go let me think. Need Your Love So Bad, the
Ah,
slided in bonus recording. He's done it twice. I prefer the original slided in version. So it's got John Lord and the organ, and he's basically just singing his heart out, and it's just pure vocals. So I first heard this on the cassette version of
yeah,
Slide It In, and it was the last track, and fell in love with it. And I've always been looking for it on vinyl. I think it was on a B side of one of their singles. Um, but I've got a few copies of it now. It's on the box set, and subsequent special editions of 1984 have had it. But one of his finest vocals. He's really just pouring it out. And where he goes into that almost falsetto, where it goes into the peak of the song, it's great. Need Your Love So Bad. This is raw emotion. And it's just Coverdale singing with John Lord. No guitars, no drums, no bass.
yeah.
Raw, naked.
one of my criticisms about that song is that it doesn't really fit in with the rest of the album. So it does really feel like a bonus track or a B-side. So that's my only criticism about it. It really kills the flow of the album. But if you listen to it as a separate thing, it does really work. So yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I've never really worried about that. To me, it's at the end of the album. To me, it is a bonus track. To
Yeah,
me, the last song on the album is that's the end, and here's the bonus track. And I've never sort of it's never affected my enjoyment of it. But yeah, look, if you treat it as a track that you should hear because you want to hear the finesse of David Coverdale's vocals, yeah, definitely worth checking out.
yeah. Awesome, awesome. All right, my next one is Waiting on You from Coverdale Page. Really, really good song. Like, this has always been one of my favorites. Now, the last track on the album, Whisper a Pray for Dying, that's my absolute favorite one. But I think this is probably my second favorite on that album. So yeah, the guitar riff I really like. I love like the more the hoarseness in David's voice. You can really hear that after the Slip of the Tongue recordings and the tour that followed, that really had some effect on his vocal cords, and it has some a kind of hoarseness to his voice on this album and moving forward. So, but I like it. I think that adds something too. So yeah, I think it's really cool. Love this song. Kind of a mid-tempo song, and yeah, I think it's cool following "Shake My Tree," which is a bit of a faster song. So yeah, it flows well with the album, and the guitar solo in this by Jimmy Page is very, very good. So yeah, I also love the scream that David does, and I think it's just before the solo. It's just really good. So yeah, awesome song.
Great. All right. Well, my final pick, I'm a little bit cheeky. This is the song that you will, if you go to a Whitesnake concert, and it's the exit music. As you're
Yeah,
going, you're leaving the auditorium or the concert hall, you will hear this being played over the loudspeakers, and it's "We Wish You Well." I think this is a gentle farewell. It closes the Love Hunter album with dignity rather than bombast, and it reveals Coverdale's softer side and his gift for melody. It's understated, and it's an ending that stays with you long
yeah,
after the album finishes. And look, whenever there's a eulogy or something that will happen in regards to the Whitesnake family, because we're not getting any older, any younger, we're getting older, and it's inevitable that things happen. I'm sure that this song will get played because I think it's one of his finest vocal performances. Only lasts 2 minutes,
yeah,
but it's truly memorable. We Wish You Well, and it's like the Whitesnake motif, isn't it? It's the song.
yeah. If only it was longer. I just wish it was longer. I
Yeah,
just
I don't
really,
know how you would do it, to make it
yeah.
longer. I think it just
That's the
doesn't
thing.
outstay its welcome.
That's the thing. When you're so used to it being this length and being as it is, it's hard to imagine it being longer and going on. But I think it would have worked. But yeah, I just wish it was longer. It's so good. So yeah, awesome. All right, my next one may be unexpected, but this is from the album Saints and Sinners, which you did an episode on. I think you did with Reed Little. I think you did that episode.
Yes,
And
that's
really,
correct. Yes.
yeah, really good one. And I also agree that this album is really underrated and overlooked. It's really, really good. And it doesn't deserve the hate that it gets. So the song I picked is Dancing Girls. And the reason I picked it is because it's so unexpectedly heavy. When you read the title, you think, oh, this is just going to be a very cheesy, and it is kind of cheesy, but this would be a very cheesy, tongue-in-cheek David Coverdale song, and it won't be like, it probably will be like a ballady type song, but it really isn't. This is a hard rocking song, and that riff is amazing. It's a really driving riff, and I love it. It's so good. I really like the keyboard solo, the organ solo by John Lord in this. Just really nice. And this is also a very concise and very short song. It's only just above 3 minutes, so it goes by really fast. But yeah, really like this song, and I think this is one of the really deep cuts on this album. So Dancing Girls, I've always liked this one.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, awesome. So you did your final too, right?
Yeah, I think we've done it. Yeah,
Awesome.
time flies.
Yeah. Do you have any honorable mentions or anything like that?
Oh, look, there are so many
endless.
honorable mentions. Look, the whole catalog is an honorable mention.
Yeah.
I don't want to be difficult, but there's so many. But for me, if you really want to get the finest vocal performances of Coverdale, Ready and Willing, come and get it. Any of the tracks in that era, I think that's the Purple Patch. That's where he was really at his peak.
Yeah. And I'm really surprised that none of us actually mentioned Ain't Gonna Cry No More. Now, that has also been played live throughout the years, and it is a deep cut, but not really in the sense that we talk about here. But yeah, that also really fits your description there. Very emotional, very nice, and it really develops, and then it becomes bombastic and really cool and hard rocking at the end. So,
absolutely, and also live in the heart of the city. Can you call that a deep cut? Maybe not, because it's their greatest hits in a live setting. But the version he does of Mistreated, I'm referring to the double album version because it was one in 78 and one in, was it 1978, 79, and one was 1980. There was two.
Yeah, the one was live in Hammersmith, and then they put it together as a double album.
Yeah, well, the earlier lineup, I think it was Duck Dowell on drums.
Yeah,
the version of Mistreated is chef's kiss. It was just beautiful. Coverdale, probably the quintessential version of Mistreated, in my opinion. Any lineup, any version, except No Substitute. That's the one to listen to.